Hello! At Monday's council meeting, we were due to have a big debate at our request as the opposition about Cognus, the council's spun-out education services company. And my part of that was going to be about all of the financial and governance problems that have beset this company. But you were not allowed to hear my speech because the whole debate was cut short. So, for your benefit, here are a potted history of the problems that Cognus has had going all the way back to the start, which the Liberal Democrats evidently were not keen for you to hear about at the council meeting on Monday. If you're taking notes, you might want to sharpen your pencil. Here we go. Number one, right back at the beginning, the legal setup, when it was called Sutton Education Services, was done completely wrong and had to be redone with a whole different set of lawyers. And we spent months just going round in circles for that to happen. Two, there was an over-optimistic business plan. They spun out the council's education department into this private company, and they tacked onto it a completely unrealistic set of financial savings that was simply impossible. Three, the managing director, who by the way was the managing director who publicly pointed out the financial savings were impossible, suddenly left last year in rather mysterious circumstances, never really explained whether she resigned or whether she was sacked or what happened. Doesn't speak to a company that's in rude good health. Four, there's the Sutton Shareholdings Board, which happens only twice a year, where we as councillors have an opportunity to scrutinise Cognus and the other companies. Autumn last year, these are in spring and autumn last year, Cognus simply were not there, and we were not given any explanation at all. I frankly got quite angry and demanded to know why they weren't there, but the Liberal Democrat who chairs the committee, Councillor Gordon, she just refused to answer any questions. Again, quite suspicious for a company that is doing well. Five, there was a plan that's been rumbling on through the course of this year to change the structure. It was originally a joint venture with the council as the A shareholder and schools in Sutton as the B shareholder. For reasons that were never properly explained, the council wanted to get rid of the B shareholders, but we debated this at the People Committee, beginning of the year, and then the following month we debated it at the Strategy and Resources Committee, where we requested further information. And there was simply no real explanation of why they wanted to do it. And the whole process was shrouded in mystery. When I was asking for status updates, all I got was vague waffle and fob off. Again, it doesn't speak to a thing that is running smoothly and according to plan. Then, speaking of plans, we get to point 6. The business plan that was presented at the June Shareholdings Board, where Cognus did at least turn up this time. We were presented with a business plan and we were told that the directors hadn't yet agreed it, but that we as the shareholders effectively were being asked to agree it and impose it on them, which is really the wrong way around. I queried this and I was told, in fact, no, the information in the papers was wrong. The directors had approved it. I believe that was simply a fob off to make me go away and stop asking difficult questions, because it later emerged not only had the directors not approved it, they hadn't even seen it. They weren't even aware of it until it came to the Shareholdings Board, the directors of the company. 7. Still at the June Shareholdings Board, we learnt of £300,000 that was given away to a particular school, with several different explanations given. There was something in the papers which didn't seem to make sense. I asked about it, I was given an explanation and then another explanation, subsequently in a letter. Multiple explanations for something to me is always a bit of an alarm bell. And we asked about this again at the October Shareholdings Board, and we still have had no real explanation about who made that decision, why, and whether they intend to continue just giving away money to various people for unknown reasons. 8. The financial accounts that were presented to us in June for the financial year just ended were then represented to us in October. And this is because between June and October, hundreds of thousands of pounds of invoices were just found that should have been paid in that financial year that had somehow mysteriously just been forgotten about or lost down the back of the sofa. So the whole set of accounts for that year had to be represented. The auditors had got involved and spotted this problem. Again, this is not a company that is very well run. The council's own finance department has basically gone in and taken over what had been a shambolic operation. Completely unbelievable. And then 9, at around the same time that that was coming to light, there was a discussion about this at the People Committee. And at the People Committee, when we as the opposition put this problem of the missing invoices or the unpaid invoices to the Liberal Democrats, it was treated like some kind of bizarre clandestine information that must have been obtained by some bizarre means, when in actual fact it had been presented, or was about to be presented, in the papers to another council meeting a few days later. Again, either the Liberal Democrats are simply completely ignorant of what's going on, or else another example of just an excuse to fob off any attempt at scrutiny. And so all the way through, from the very beginning right up to now, all we have had with Sutton Education Service and Cognus is a series of problem after problem after problem, and they never seem to go away. And most of those problems I've given you have been from the last year, and actually I think 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 are just from the last few months. And yet what we're now being told is that all these problems are behind us, everything's fine, it's plain sailing from here on in, don't worry about it, it'll all be great. But this has been the claim at every single stage. And it has never yet been true. At every stage, I've asked questions and I've been reassured, yes, there were problems, but now it's all fine. We're going to draw a line under it and it's all fine from here. But when problems are still coming out, just in the last few weeks, it's just, I would have to be an idiot to believe it. And I think that they just assume that we're all idiots for falling for this constant story. And so my question really isn't, why is it that we have reservations about the governance and the finances of this company, Cognus? I think the question is, why is it that the Liberal Democrats don't have questions? And why is it that they're so willing just to fob off any inquiry by telling us that it's all sorted? Because it very clearly, to my mind, isn't sorted.